One of my most problematic opinions is that doing coke is fucking stupid. And I know you're like, why is that a problematic opinion? I don't know. I live near fucking San Francisco. Everyone does drugs out here. I'll meet the weirdest types of people. They'll be like, oh yeah, caffeine is so bad for you. And then they'll like, bitch, you do coke. I remember I was in the car ride. I was talking about, yeah, I try to stay away from caffeine and stuff like that and other substances. I just feel like it's not good for the body to do that. I feel like it would fuck with my health and my mental really hard. And they were like, yes, absolutely. Caffeine can absolutely do that. You're 100% right. Stay away from caffeine. I don't even drink it. At most, I'll have the littlest bit of like peppermint tea and that's it. And so I thought it was like cool to say what I said next. I said, yeah, that's true. And honestly, I think people who do like drugs are honestly like, unless they have like some really deep-rooted trauma, like, or I just think it's stupid because there's a lot of other things you can do. Like, if you can't just go out to a party and have a good time without drugs, then it's not a good party and you should just fucking leave. Or maybe you just like, I don't know. I just think using substances in general is kind of like a coward's way of like doing things, and also it could put you at risk of massive health issues and even death. I just think it's stupid. And then they did a long pause and then they said, well, I do cocaine. Yeah, I've done a few bumps and lines at parties, and I just thought to myself, you'll do fucking coke, but you won't do a frappuccino. That's so how is caffeine not worse than coke? Like, they're similar in some regards. They have the same start, same finish. The letters in the middle are very much different. They both energize you, but, you know, what the fuck? I don't know, like, and also, whenever I see black people doing coke, I just get disappointed. Or doing anything. Like, what the fuck are you doing with galaxy gas? You're just, what, like, why are you, oh my god. I already thought lean was fucking stupid. I used to say this to people and they fucking hated it. I kind of was like, so what does lean make you do? And then some of them would just say, I don't know, man, it just makes you all relaxed and stuff. Like, it feels like you're about to take a nap, but you're not. And I said, well, you could just fucking sleep. It'll cost you like a lot cheaper. And they would get mad at me for saying that. But it's like, I don't know. You're not explaining it right. Some people would say, no, that guy must be a poser because it doesn't feel like that. But fuck if I know. I'm not going to try it anytime soon. This doesn't mean I'm anti-drug in general. This just means if it goes in your veins or up your nose, I think for the most part, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't risk it. I know my grandmother did drugs and that fucked up several generations of her family because it's like, oh, look, my grandma doing drugs because she had a fucked up home life. And then she fucked up everyone's life by being all, oh, I'm going to steal shit and suck dick and do this and do that. And then next thing you know, my mom came out all fucked up. And then she fucked up her kids and now I'm a YouTube star. Woohoo! I'm a fucking star! The whole world's gonna know my name! Okay, maybe, okay. Just because the domino effect led to that does not mean I'm happy about it. It's a shame that it's just like, no. Also, I don't know, I feel like we've all seen the millions of ways that using drugs can go bad, so it just seems like a stupid gamble with your life. Like, I've met some people who have done drugs and came out the other side okay, multiple people. But, oh my god, like, I had this buddy, his name was Juan Carlos. I don't give a fuck about saying his, like, that's not his full legal name, don't worry, that's just he has two first names. On some Ricky Bobby shit. He basically told me all about, like, oh, yeah, honestly, I think I would do coke if I was offered it, and I think I could bounce back from the other side okay. And to me, it's kind of stupid because it's like, okay, didn't your family leave Mexico because there was, like, some drug shit and cartel shit going on out there, and they wanted you to have a healthy, better life for yourself away from all that bullshit? And you mean to tell me the first thing you're going to do is just be like, I'm going to snort that shit as soon as I get it in America? And then, like, what? I would be so pissed if I was like, I'm going to fight for my fucking life to find a way to get into this new fucking country and try to make a life out of here after a whole life of, like, senseless violence and drama and pain. And then your kid is just like, hey, everybody, I'm kind of bored, so I just snorted coke and now I'm overdosing or dying. Or now I'm just hooked and always wasting my money and stealing TVs and shit. That's, like, it's like, really? Oh, fuck. I'm not saying people who do drugs deserve to die. If anything, one of my biggest fears is that someone I know would do drugs. Actually, someone I dated, I'm not going to say their name out of respect for them, but they have a mother who, let's just say their mother gave up their family to do drugs and put them in a lot of very, very unsafe situations. And it very much frustrated me when I did hear from this friend. I'm glad they told me, but they did say, like, oh yeah, I had an opportunity to do some coke, so I tried it. It wasn't that bad. It didn't affect me, and that pissed me off so fucking bad because it's like, nigga, there's fent in these streets. You could be fucking dead. What if it wasn't safe? Because you just got it from a bunch of fucking strangers who your friend semi-knows and you don't know at all. And you're doing it in some fucking basement in Santa Cruz, and it's like... What if it was Fent? What if I just never heard from him again? What if, like, that... Oh, that pisses me the fuck off. I hate that shit so bad. It's like, you know what happened to your fucking mom. You know how that shit fucked up you and your siblings, and just like, and you really just went, I'm gonna do this too. It's like, he already has addictive tendencies. So I also got pissed in that aspect. It's like, okay, it's good that you yourself don't like coke. I'm glad that you're an anomaly, but fuck, that could have gone bad, and that scares the shit out of me. And he didn't take me seriously, so I stopped talking to him for a bit. But it really just like, dude, you could have, what if you died? What if you got addicted? Then, like, and that would have also pissed me off, because it's like, okay, nigga, we get it. You are mad because your life understimulates you, but it's like, you do the same shit all the time. It's like, oh, I don't know. I don't respect people where they're like, oh, I'm afraid to get bitches. I don't know how to get women. Oh, I gotta shower and use peroxide on my mouth so my teeth aren't so yellow. That's too much effort. Oh, I want an exciting life. What do you mean that means I have to leave my house and not just play the same video game over and over and over? Wow, you know what I need? Fucking cocaine. It's like, it's cheaper to just go out. Like, I don't know, I don't know. You're just doing cocaine in a basement with a bunch of random ass niggas instead of trying I don't know, I don't respect that. I think it's pathetic. I think some people are meant to, like, raw dog certain situations. I think some people are meant to experience the fullness of the human emotions, and even though it hurts, you build character. Trust me, why do you think I am the way I am? I used to be extremely shy, extremely quiet, extremely meek, didn't say shit, was afraid of how people would perceive me. But eventually, I went out of my way to try new things. I was like, you know what? Even if it fills me with massive anxiety, I don't want a boring life. I want to try cool shit. Oh, I wish something cool existed, like ballroom dancing. Then guess what? I found ballroom dancing in my area. I was like, shit, okay. Bought a nice dress, got dolled up, danced around in some fuck-ass wedges. Did I fuck up? Yes. Did I also still, like, have a fun time socializing and getting to know people? Yes, I did. It was still great in a lot of ways, and I loved it compared to just the night at home. And then, you know, you do things like you go to the movies by yourself, you check out new events, you learn how to introduce yourself in different ways, you practice telling jokes. Sometimes people like it, sometimes they don't, sometimes it's awkward, sometimes it's fun, and you practice that. Now, little things can help, like, okay, alcohol. Sure, I get it. I understand why. Because even when I get alcohol, suddenly I lose my fear of women, and I'm just like the most bisexual bad bitch ever. I'm like a magnet to hot women when I'm fucking drunk, dude. Women love the charisma! It's like fucking Jekyll and Hyde. Like, the second you get me tipsy, I swear to God, like, how do I put this? If you're ever like, oh, but Tamia, you seem so outgoing already. There's multiple versions of my personality. Not everyone gets the same one. The online personality is very much different from how I am actually like. That's why some people get caught the fuck off guard when they meet me in real life. It's like, she's so meek and quiet and sitting there in the corner by herself. But, you know, online she talks like she's 6'6" with, like, 5 guns. That's the fun part. And then next thing you know, like, some people get really caught off guard because I'll drink. And then I'll start being flirty as fuck, mean as fuck, blunt as fuck, usually flirty as fuck. And then I'll be acting like Jim Carrey from The fucking Mask when he's dancing with Cameron Diaz and shit. So I get why people do drugs. I do. I've had my experiences too. I remember, yeah, funny enough, with my ex, the one who I'm not naming. Simply put, I remember I took him to this penthouse party at this old job I used to work at. And it was a great time. We had a bunch of edibles. We had a shit ton of alcohol. We were faded as fuck. Just loud and messy and annoying. But we had a great time. I also had bitches, like, getting in my face that evening being hella fucking rude. But I didn't give a fuck. I was high and I was drunk and I was sexy. That's a story for another time. Jesus. But I'll put it to you like this, young nigga. Ooh. Boy, we had a time that night. And then I think I tried it like one more time with him. And then let's just say, once I tried drugs, and I had the worst, like, psychosis episode ever that lasted probably somewhere between, time was a thick jelly. It felt like 30 years for me. It was most likely more like 8 hours. I wish my ex would have just told me that if I vomited, it would have stopped the effects as soon as possible, but he was too busy panicking. And he also is not the brightest like, shout out to him also doing coke while his mom also was a coke addict. I don't know. He's the type of dude where you could say, hey baby, thanks for helping clean my room. Just so you know, if you see an envelope, check inside of it. Or if you see a plastic bag, just turn it inside out to make sure there's nothing inside of it. And then he will be like, sure baby. And then like maybe 30 seconds later, he almost threw away like an envelope full of like $1,000 in cash and a bunch of expensive jewelry. He's not the smartest blueberry on the bush, but you know, he's still the sweetest one. Anyway, that's all just a very long, convoluted way of me to saying I like this dude a lot, and drugs can be fun. But it can also be not fun if you're not careful. And yeah, let's just say me taking edibles at the fucking zoo from his brother who smokes 24/7 and said these edibles ain't shit. I ate them. I saw fucking God. I heard my mom's voice every time I spoke. The sky was holographic and changing colors rapidly like a rare Pokemon card holographic. Oh my God, my emotions were changing rapidly from anger to sadness to happiness to the fullest extent that you could feel those emotions. It was bad. It was scary for him. It was scary for me. And also I was hallucinating. That shit was not fun. It was like a little funny, but I can only laugh about that now but even then, if I think about it too hard, I get extremely scared and depressed. Be careful with drugs. It can fuck up your life. Anyway, as I was saying, yeah, and then funny enough, my ex's brother, he actually did hit me up and he was like, hey, I feel really bad that you had that experience. I'm sorry. If it helps, here, take this soda. It's like this lemon ginger weed soda. It should help you feel good. And it has like such the smallest amount that you like that any normal person wouldn't be able to feel it, but you would. So I think it could work for you. And I'm a lightweight when it comes to most substances. I drank it. I didn't drink that much of it. I felt like vomiting and I felt weird and dizzy and wobbly. That was about it. Yeah, I think weed's not for me. So fuck weed. On the bright side, I learned the hard way that I probably have a family history on one side of the family of a certain mental disorder, which my grandmother hinted to me ahead of the time. Yeehaw! Which is whatever. It's one of those ones that were just like, you know, I wouldn't have found out until that. But then again, I heard that some people can also get psychosis over fucking anything. You could just have like a mild vitamin deficiency and start tripping out. So I don't know. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, just be careful with drugs. That shit could be really, really bad and really, really, really mess you up. And that's no fun. Anyway, as I was saying, oh, yeah. And I guess, but, you know, I'm not tripping over weed. Do weed if you want. But I will admit, some people have an over-reliance on it, and some people refuse to admit it's a drug. I remember some dude approached me, and he was trying to flirt. He was like, haha, so you smoke? You do weed? I would like, you know, I don't think he said you do weed, but you know what I mean. He was like, hey, do you smoke weed? I was like, oh, no, thank you. I don't do drugs, actually. And he was like, oh, weed's a drug now. All right. Yeah, nigga, people are in prison for that shit. And they should be let go, by the way. Like, Jesus. Also, whenever I hear about black people doing drugs, I just think, like, what? We saw how the war on drugs went. I had a friend, I thought he was decently, like, I don't know, a part of me was like, hey, would I ever have something with this guy? Until he told me that, like, he straight up was like, oh, yeah, I got a bitch in Colombia. Like, she's hella fine, she's hella bad. Whenever I go out to see her, like, we just, like, she's a Colombian prostitute. We just have sex all the time, endlessly, nonstop cocaine, endlessly, over and over and over. It's the best shit ever. And it's like, oh, and I just kind of thought to myself, okay, we're not compatible, but shout out to him. I told him, be safe. You know, I'm sure I hope it's the good shit. I don't know, let's just say, I hope it's, like, I doubt the shit out there is cut with anything, but fuck if I know. I just hope that if he's gonna be doing a shit ton of cocaine, his heart doesn't stop and he doesn't like overdose or whatever. Like, I know that scene in Pulp Fiction was her doing some other substance that made her nose bleed, but that kind of stuck with me. I don't know. I watched a lot of shit. I'm scared. It's like, I've seen Trainspotting. I've seen fucking Pulp Fiction. I've seen the weirdos that just kind of like have a blast in my neighborhood outside of my house, just going fucking crazy, threatening to slit the throat of anyone who crosses their path. It just fucking scares the shit out of me, and I don't want to lose people who I care about. And one of the things that I think is just like, this is going to be so fucked up coming out of my mouth. I already know it is. I don't care. I hardly say it. I'm not saying you deserve to die if you do drugs, but if you do start deciding to do drugs, I can't be your friend, because if something happened to you, you would be breaking my heart. Like, if you're if my ex, if he really just sat there and was like, I'm gonna keep doing coke and I'm not ever gonna have any Narcan on me and I'm gonna do anything that any stranger gives me whatsoever and just be the most unsafe about it possible and over rely on it, then if he got addicted to it and then complained about his shitty life quality, it's like, yeah, I mean, it was already shitty beforehand. I don't know why you would invite drugs into it. And if he decided to do so much drugs that he died and I was his friend, that would break my heart. And I can't be out here suicidal and wanting to kill myself and meeting you in the afterlife and shit, because it's like that's a choice you made. It doesn't mean you deserve to die. But how do I put this? I feel like the risks are way too high and way too known, and I'm always vocal about it too. So if someone in my life is like, yeah, I would do coke again, or I would do this substance again, or something that they know they can get really fucking hooked on and can fuck them up and has fucked up other people. I don't like people who think that they're too good to be like other people. Like, I don't know, like the type of person who'll be like, ooh, I'm not gonna give money to the homeless, he's just gonna spend it on drugs anyway. But then they'll do drugs, but then they'll act like they're different than the homeless people out on the street just because, I don't know, maybe that they got lucky that they have a tolerance, or they managed to still have a job, or they just haven't lost their house yet, or some other shit. I can't stand that. It's kind of like the same energy as when some women are like, oh, just because he cheated on you doesn't mean he'll cheat on me, and then they get with the man and then they're shocked that he's a cheater. It's like, never think that you're too different. Never think the same can't happen to you. Like, it's just pride and a bunch of other stuff. Also, sometimes I'll talk to people and I can just tell they haven't done like the bare minimum of trying to like be grateful for what they already do have, or like try to, it's like they aren't grateful for what they already have. They aren't trying to grow as people. They're just like, my life sucks. And instead of just like counting all my blessings, I'm going to do coke. And it's like, oh, okay, well, you had a wonderful, beautiful house in an amazing neighborhood and a safe background and money that you could have spent on any of your hobbies or passions or interests or a career. You had people that loved you, and then you got hooked onto drugs. And then like all that shit fell apart. And now you're still doing drugs. And it's just, I don't know. I know how drugs fucked up my family. And I just kind of told, and also how alcohol did too. And I just was like, I'm not going to let that, I can't let that be me. Because if it's me, everything's going to go to fucking shit. And I have too much potential on this planet to let that happen to me. Actually, here's another relevant example. My ex, Jared. You know, he's someone who used to do drugs. He stopped. And I remember the guy I was recently seeing, Alex, his ugly ass, he was like, I told him that a big portion of my friends that I have had are either people who are sober, or people who, actually no, people who are sober. They fucking love me. He was like, why do you think that is? Isn't that kind of strange that they all are like that? I said, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm one of the only friends they have that won't be like pressuring to meet them at a bar or to drink all the time or to do any drugs. And he gave me a sideways look, but it's like, it's fucking true. I hate to break it to you, I've had plenty of instances myself where it's like, oh my god, people act like you're the weirdest motherfucker in the world if you only have one drink, or if you don't want to drink. It's like, bitch, why do you need to get drunk at this comedy show? Because it's like, I'm a lightweight. I don't need it. It's like, because all I'm going to do is get horny and messy. I can laugh at a comedy show and enjoy it without being drunk. I can still support something for the bar, absolutely. I can still tip the bartender. I can still get food, absolutely. I don't need to get drunk. But I've just had so many uncomfortable situations. Some people do not know how to, some people don't know how to take no for an answer. I don't know. Ironically, alcoholics have been more pushy than meth people. I once was in a meth tent when I was like 18. I have a video. Actually, or was I 17? I think I was 18. I have a story about it on my page. Simply put, I remember I was giving meat to homeless people and stuff, and like fucking bananas and water and shit, because I had spare food at home. And they invited me into their tent, and they were super cool. And they offered to pass me the little glass pipe, and I was like, oh, no, thank you. And they were like, They were like, oh, okay, no worries. And then they kept, like, nicely smoking their meth. I didn't know it was meth until later, but it's like, they were very polite about it. But and then some weed people, that's like a coin toss. Some people will act like you're the lamest bitch ever. They'll be like, so if you don't do weed, what do you do? I have a fucking life. Or it's like, or I'll just say I don't drink, and they'll just like, oh my god, alcoholics are the weirdest. I had to cut off 2 niggas in the comedy scene because I just simply told them I don't like. They were like, let me get you a drink. I got like 1 glass of rosé, and I kept an eye on my drink, because then these niggas got super weird on some massive like, ooh, my buddy, there's no way he wasn't actually a rapist. Oh, no, wasn't the girl a whore? And they were talking some weird shit. And that already had me ready to go. But then they got angry, like actually full on angry and shitty and really fucking hostile because I didn't want a second drink. And and some people, oh my god, the amount of people where it's like they just like, they can't fathom the idea of having a first date without a drink. Oh my god, actually, fuck, I have so many stories in my arsenal for all of this shit. Like the guy I went to Gary Danko with, the first one. His bitch ass, oh my fucking god. Because I already, like, I was not drinking. I told my date, oh yeah, like, yeah, I don't drink personally. Maybe I'll get a glass of wine later, but as of now, I think I'm pretty good. I even communicated that I have a kidney issue. I always tell people because I'm pretty sure I have an issue with my kidneys, liver, pancreas. I don't know. Something burns when I drink, and then I get fucked up for several days, so I can't drink very often. Like, it's even worse as I've aged and stuff. Some people respect it, some people don't. This dude, let me tell you, he had 8 different fucking, like, he had like 4 or 5 glasses of red wine, 4 martinis, and he was just like slurring and stumbling, and then he started getting hella rude and aggressive, and then later in the evening he tried to Uber me back to my place, like just by myself, like a gentleman, even though he was wasted, and he accidentally sent the Uber to his place, and that led to a whole lot of drama. And I just thought to myself, nigga, you are on a date with some hot chick in her like 20s, like early to mid 20s. You don't, and she's not drinking a single bit, she's just enjoying fucking strawberry lemonade. You could, like, why are you, why? Just, because conversation with him was actually going amazing. And then he had the first drink, and it was still going great. Then the second drink, and he started slurring. And then, out of nowhere, hella drinks. And then it just got to the point where it was just, like, unnecessarily hostile, weird shit. And it's like, oh. It's like, I'm glad he showed his true colors so early on, but Jesus Christ, you can't have one conversation with a woman for an hour without getting shit-faced? Good fucking Jesus goddamn Christ. God fucking like, if I was, anyway. Yeah, that shit's stupid. And that's the type of shit I mean. Whenever I meet people where they just, like, refuse dates if it's not at a bar and we're getting tipsy, it's like, okay, you either just really want to get me horny, like, you're hoping that I'm going to have lower inhibitions and I'm going to be horny so that you can fuck me without my full consent. Or 2, you don't know how to have a conversation or socialize because you never learned how to just raw dog that shit, so you're always relying on substances. I think that's fucking pathetic. I think that people who smoked weed very young and then just never learned how to, like, adapt or socialize or vibe without it just have fucked up a lot of things for themselves and they won't admit it. It's like, oh, okay, well, they'll be like, I don't have a problem. That's interesting, because you can't be away from your house for more than 4 hours, and you want to send yourself back, and you can't spend the night at my place, because you are so hooked onto weed. Oh. Nothing's inherently wrong with doing weed. But boy, oh boy, have I been pissed off by weed people. But don't worry, funny enough, I have dated stoners and people who smoke weed and do shrooms and stuff. They're very chill people when they're not. And, you know, as long as they're not pushing that shit on me, we can have a blast. It's like, hell yeah, dude, we could just vibe, do what you fucking want. Have a nice, easy time. Like, I'm just saying. Just, as long as they're not being pushy, and if they can decently function without it. But I just think some shit is stupid to get yourself hooked onto. Like, honestly, I've talked to multiple cigarette smokers, and they always tell me, 1, don't get into that shit. 2, it's a stupid thing to get into. 3, I did it just because I thought it would make me look cool. And 4, I did it because I wanted to make friends. And it's like, and then next thing you know, now they're addicted because of the fucking nicotine or whatever. And it's like, okay. It's just like it's like, I always thought cigarettes were nasty smelling. Like, disgusting, actually. I always thought alcohol was gross and smelled weird and stuff. Why the fuck would anyone... Yeah, you know? I actually, yeah, like I was saying, I had my ex Jared, he was in the comedy scene. I remember as we were driving around, he told me about how usually he gets on stage and how he's been practicing getting rid of his nerves when we first met, was that he would do, like, he would always take, like, some really strong, like, chug some alcohol, or he would do some shrooms, or he would do, like, weed or whatever. I don't think he did coke on stage. But he did experiment with it before, but he was done with it by the time he met me. Either way, I remember I talked to him, like, he was like, oh yeah, I really can't perform without doing some sort of drugs. If anything, I'm nervous to tonight. And I said, ooh, I'm gonna be honest with you, champ, you might want to be careful with that, because think about it. Chris Farley, he was funny as fuck without it. Like, he was funny as fuck, but he never harnessed, like, his own confidence and ability to believe he was funny without being high. So then next thing you know, he was always doing weed, and then when weed didn't work, then he had to do more, because he built up a tolerance. Then he did coke, and then his heart stopped, and then he died, and that's so sad. Because it's like, he probably would have been a funny-ass guy if he believed in himself, and then built up the courage to, like, not be scared of the spotlight and the stage and the people, you know? That's something you have to build up. It's a muscle. But once you do, like, if anything, you'll probably get more exhilaration from that, and you'll be able to feel like, because how do I put this? I've made some of my greatest fucking videos on here, either when I was having a manic episode, when I was either fully relaxed, or when I was still fully exhilarated by a situation, or when I was extremely, extremely drunk. But, like, sometimes those, like, you know, but guess what? It's like, how do I put this? I would feel like a fraud if I could only be funny and confident in my own funniness if I was drunk. So, like I said, the reason I post so much on here is because I have to work it like a muscle. I have to believe, like, okay, let the words fly out of my mouth. Let me believe that what I say is actually funny. Let me try. You have to place bets on yourself, you know? And Jared was like, I think you're fucking right. But then months later, he was trying to be all, ooh, if Chris Farley, he probably just wasn't all that funny. Like, if he could only do it while he was on substances, then clearly the substances made him funny. And yeah, Jared's fucking stupid. Don't listen to Jared. He's an idiot. He spent $3,000 on a fucking deep fake of Angel Young's because he thought that realistic. Like, he fell for a fucking porn stars in your area scam. Like a fucking idiot. So, yeah, he's stupid. Don't believe men like Jared. Don't believe the voice in your head saying, ooh, I can't make friends unless I'm drunk. Ooh, I'm not funny unless I'm on coke. Blah, blah, blah. No, you already have it in you. You just need to let it leave your body in a different way. Anyway, yeah, I remember, it's just kind of weird. I keep seeing teenagers that are like, I'm high off of galaxy gas and chain smoking cigarettes and vaping in public. And my life fucking sucks. It's like, nigga, did you even try to be happy? I don't know. Because I was going through awful fucking situations. I already told y'all. I was, like, my grandmother was the type of bitch to just, like, shart and fart on purpose all the time. She was constantly, like, popping anti-diarrhea pills because she wanted to eat like shit and have no consequences in her mind, even though she had diabetes. And that led to her ass blasting all over the place. Like, she sharted all over. Like, she would be like, we had her feces caked on the walls because she also didn't wash her fucking hands. And we had shit on the toilet seats. The whole house stunk. My mom was a bitch. Grandmother was a bitch. Stepdad was a pussy. Little brother was kind of racist and homophobic, and, well, but he's a middle schooler. I don't know. That just kind of happens to them, excluding me. I don't know. That just happens. Kids are kind of weird. And then, next thing you know, it's like, okay, what's my coping mechanism? Now, my coping mechanisms were, like, less harmful shit. Was it sex? Yeah, that was the one I did that was kind of harmful to an extent, but even then I kept my virginity until I was, like, 17, so I did pretty good. It was just like, okay, I can suck a little dick. I can get my clit sucked. I can get my titties sucked. Works for me, yeehaw. Chronic masturbation, of course. And then on top of that, sometimes I would be like, you know what? My whole life is fucked up, but it doesn't have to be fucked up. And I'd take whatever little money I had from whatever allowance I could get or whatever money I could find or manage to secretly get, and I would just go the fuck out. And I would be like, you know, I wouldn't go out to get, like, drunk or raced or whatever. I was like, let me take up journaling. Let me write down every single emotion that I'm feeling and document this so I can document my progress. Let me go out and, like, enjoy the sunlight and just listen to the waves on the beach or the waterfront. Let me enjoy a farmer's market and get, like, cute little snacks there that are a little bit overpriced, but it's okay. My allowance can buy it. And I would, like, read books and manga and stuff and draw and paint in the sun and write screenplays whenever I could, because I thought there's a lot to this planet that I want to enjoy. I would fucking hate to just pigeonhole myself into believing, ooh, this world's a fucked up place, I have to do coke. Like, if you've got, like, some really extreme trauma and shit, like, some people, they tell me their life story, and I'm just like, shit, nigga, if I were you, I would have done coke the second I left middle school, too. Because what the fuck was that? I'm sorry you had to go through that. Like, shit. Some people like, you know, I'm just saying. But, I don't know. For the most part, if you don't need to do coke, don't do coke. If you don't need to do heroin, however you pronounce it, I don't know, I don't do fucking heroin. If you need to do heroin, you don't need to do heroin. You get what I mean. Just try not to. Just try your best. But don't worry, I'm not totally obtuse. If you're ever like Tamia, you don't know how it feels to just like be desperate and your brain won't stop. I know how it feels. I've huffed Lysol, Pine Sol, webbing alcohol. I'm pretty sure I've done some shit with worse bathroom chemicals. I've nail polish. I've done shit to kill the brain cells too because I didn't want to think about my fucked up life. Sometimes it gets to that point. Sometimes you really want an escape. And sometimes not all drugs are bad for you. Not all drugs. Some drugs can actually like help you. You'll notice that you function a lot better. For me personally, I noticed that even today, I was tempted. I was like, you know what? I have this little $5 discount code on DoorDash. I can just pick up a bottle of wine from this one place and like it's like 13.5% ABV, and I know that if I chugged it, the only like how do I put this? The only difference between me being on like in my little makeshift bed right now and me having a completely organized bedroom and a laundry pickup order scheduled and dinner made and this and that, the only difference is that I am not fucking wasted. I know how it feels. Sometimes you do just function better when you are on some shit. Like, you know, the women of the 1950s and shit, like, I understand why they were always, like, you know, it's like, yeah, ma'am, I get why you're doing Quaaludes and morphine. Your husband was a weird piece of shit. Like, you hated your fucking life. It makes sense. It's the only autonomy you could afford. I understand. And sometimes you're put in a place where you just feel so helpless. It's not easy for everyone. So I still hold sympathy. I do. Funny enough, some of my closest friends are people who have done or were people who were my closest friends when I was younger. They did meth and stuff. They did drugs. They did pills. Funny enough, what ties into what I said about how sometimes I am friends with people who are trying to get off drugs or who have gone sober is I was friends with this guy, Marco. We were frenemies, basically. Frenemies with benefits. Sometimes we'd fuck. But I hated him, but I still kind of, to an extent, cared for him because, I don't know, he wasn't that bad of a guy. He was a piece of shit, but, like, he had his moments where he could be really good if he wanted to. Like, he stood up for me in hard times, and, you know, he also then found a way to make the hard times worse. And then he'd make it better, and then worse, and then better. You know, he was one of those types. Like, he was Morgan before Morgan was around. And I remember with him, he had to call me up. He was like, hey, Tamini, can I ask you a question? I said, sure, go for it. What's up? He said, my friends, they basically put, meth in my milkshake. Should I stop being friends with them? I said, what the fuck? Yes, you should stop being friends with them. That's not normal. He said, are you sure? I said, I'm 100% sure. Because, and he just told me, like, yeah, I didn't want to do drugs, and so they put fucking meth in my milkshake, and he kind of was over-exaggerating when he said meth, but I knew what he meant. They put drugs in his drink, and then when they noticed he started tripping and feeling effects and feeling weird and shit, they started laughing in his face. And so, for him, like, he didn't know what was up and what was down, not just because he was on drugs, but also because he really liked these people. He wasn't sure if that was a line in the sand or not. I said, nigga, yes, it's okay to end friendships like that, because a real friend would have respected that you didn't want to, and they wouldn't have put you in that situation. And even if they could tell you were freaking out and feeling sick, they would not laugh at you and not help you. They would have helped you calm the fuck down and apologized. They didn't. That says more about their character than anything, and there's nothing to pin on it. And he was like, thanks, I'm glad you told me that. Now I know how to end my bond with these people. Sometimes you need people who have to, like, remind you of things like that. You know, like how people who are leaving abusive relationships kind of need a friend that is, like, in a healthy relationship to tell them what is or is not healthy. Anyway, yeah, I think this video is long enough, but I guess my point is, I don't like when someone is, like, still an active drug user, or if someone doesn't do drugs and tries to start around me, because it's like, I've seen people become really pathetic versions of themselves. I've seen people get really hooked on shit. I've seen people get fucked up and change their personalities and their lives, and it's sad. And it's just like, why would you think you're so different and lucky that you can't be someone else who passes away from it or gets addicted? Why would you want to throw away you really think nothing else in your life is good enough? And you think that you need, because it's like, imagine you're at a party. If the party's whack, leave. Just go home. Go home to your family and your friends, or go home to look at memes and snuggle in your blankets and enjoy your nice home and make some amazing dinner and just think, wow, what a lame party. Don't do drugs that can kill you. Because to me, that signals, oh, nothing in my life is quite worth more than having a good time in this very moment. It signifies ungratefulness to me. It signifies that you don't give a fuck about your life. And then that's like, it's like, I'm not even religious, but this is the only way I could say this. It's like you're being tempted to just like something bad. Like, let's say the devil existed. That would be how he would get you. He'd be like, hey, you want to be social? You want to have fun, right? At best, you will feel nothing and you might be able to go home okay. At worst, you lose your life. And at absolute best, you have the most amazing time of your life. Would you like to try the substance? And then what if you gambled on your life and lost? And then next thing you know, you don't have a home to go home to. Your friends don't know what the fuck happened to you. That would show that you didn't love me enough to not do drugs. That you didn't think I added enough value or quality to your life. And that breaks my heart. So simply put, I don't like being friends with certain people who do certain types of drugs, because it's like, that's like, I can't be a close friend, because that's too big of a risk. And if you died, my life is going to come crashing down. And I don't want to be one of those people who grieves and hates you because you just did that and changed the course of your entire fate. I don't want to be someone who resents you. And I guess that's the scary part. Like I said, I don't want to just be like, this guy had an amazing future and he threw it all away because he wanted to have a good time. But now he's out there stealing TVs or tweaking on the street, or no one has heard from him and no one knows where he's went. Or worse, someone could find you just dying and then you're just gone. And then I just have to think that's this stupid motherfucker picked up a straw or a needle or God knows what substance, and it was what took his life. And no, just that upsets me. Anyway, I think this is enough of a topic. I apologize if I've hurt anyone. And also, like I said, this isn't me saying that anyone who does drugs inherently deserves it, because they don't. They don't deserve to die. I hate that they even need to die. I hate that people put in shit, that there's even like a risk of death. I probably wouldn't care if there wasn't like a risk of someone either ruining their life by dying or by just being in a fucked up scenario. I would love it if people could live and feel safe without substances, and I would love it if people could just stick to substances that they know won't like hurt them. But in terms of some shit, I'm just not feeling bad for you, because if you see, whippets were already pretty pathetic. And then if you just go out of your way to be like, you know what, I'm going to take a big fucking canister of this shit and just huff as much of this nitrous oxide from unregistered suppliers as I can to the point where I collapse on the floor. It's like, okay, maybe that, like in that, it's like sometimes it is just natural selection, because why the fuck are you doing that? Anyway, but yeah. Please stay safe. Don't do drugs, or at least not too many. And if you do drugs, take Narcan. Be around people you trust. Be around people who are safe for you and more. And Godspeed. God bless you. Peace out. Bye.